If you have to force it, it's not love. You don't need a relationship that feels like punishment. You don't need to keep trying to prove you're worth something to someone who already made up their mind about your value. You're tired of explaining your pain. You're exhausted trying to be enough. And deep down, you already know something's off. You love her, but you're losing yourself. You want to stay, but it's breaking you. You wonder if this is just how love is supposed to feel. But it's not. And what you're about to hear may save you years of pain. Comment, "I deserve better," if this hits home for you. Number 1. She doesn't respect you. If a person doesn't respect you, nothing else matters. You can give them love, loyalty, time, patience, and they will treat it like it's nothing. Respect is the first thing a person offers you if they truly value you. You give your full heart and get ignored, misunderstood, or mocked in return. And even then you try harder, convincing yourself that maybe this is what relationships are supposed to feel like. But deep down you know this constant push to be seen and heard isn't love. It's exhaustion. And you're not building trust. You're tiptoeing around rejection. Every time you open your mouth there's a risk, and the silence you receive after pouring out your truth cuts deeper than any insult. And it teaches you slowly that your feelings aren't safe here. And yet you stay because you believe your consistency might teach them to value you. But people who respect you don't need to be convinced of your worth. They see it and protect it without being asked. And the longer you explain basic humanity, the more you start to forget what being respected even looks like, until one day you realize you've been loyal to someone who doesn't even like you when you're real. And that person isn't confused, they're comfortable, because your pain has become their convenience. And every apology you offer for wanting peace makes them feel more powerful. So the cycle continues, and you stop recognizing the version of yourself that bends for love that never shows up for you. And in these moments, you need to remember that walking away from disrespect is not failure, it's freedom. And true love doesn't demand you stay quiet. It invites your truth, and when you're in the right connection, you won't need to earn decency. It's automatic, it's embedded in every tone, every gesture, every word, and if it's not there, it never was. You wake up to her looking at her phone, scrolling, ignoring your presence while you sit there trying to start the day with connection, but end up tiptoeing around silence like it's normal. And then you talk yourself into believing maybe she's just having a bad day. But how many bad days before you realize it's just who she is with you? You try to share ideas, vision, excitement, and she looks bored or mocks your enthusiasm. And slowly, your dreams shrink to fit her comfort zone. And every time you shrink, she grows more dismissive, because now you've shown you're willing to silence your own voice for her approval. And if someone needs you to shrink so they can feel secure, you're not loved, you're controlled. There's no long-term peace with someone who invalidates your reality, not sometimes but consistently. And if you're explaining your worth more than you're living it, you're not in a relationship, you're in resistance to truth. And that truth is this: if they respected you, you wouldn't be here wondering how to earn what should have been given freely from day one. Imagine a life where your voice isn't a risk. Imagine waking up next to someone who listens because they want to know you, not because you begged for their attention. Imagine peace, not perfect peace. Because when someone respects you, even the arguments feel safe. Even the conflict leads somewhere. But with her, the conflict ends with you apologizing for being human. You bring concerns, she brings blame. You express pain, she brings attitude. And eventually, you stop bringing anything at all. That silence is where most men die emotionally, numb, shut down, resentful, still trying to fix what should have never required fixing in the first place. The most painful part. The longer you stay, the more you forget who you were before this. You start thinking maybe love is supposed to feel like walking on nails. Maybe you were asking too much. Maybe you need to just be more chill, more patient, more understanding. But notice how those words only ever apply to you. She's never the one adjusting. She's never the one compromising. And every time you point it out, she flips it, makes you the villain, says you're being dramatic, too sensitive, or worse. She punishes you with distance, not real conversation, just coldness, just withdrawal, and you panic. And that panic is your nervous system begging you to get out, not because you hate her, but because you forgot to love yourself. This is how it begins. This is how the man who wanted to build something real becomes the man who settles for survival. But survival isn't life. And you owe yourself more than just learning how to live with disrespect. Respect starts with you. The day you walk away from what doesn't see your value is the day you make room for what does. And you don't have to be angry to walk away. You just have to be done negotiating with someone who doesn't see you. Life will meet you with peace the moment you decide you're no longer willing to sell yourself short for one more ounce of attention from someone who's already proven they don't know how to love you. You may not control how someone treats you, but you control how many chances they get to keep doing it. And you don't have to be angry to walk away, you just have to be done negotiating with someone who doesn't see you, because the moment you stop settling is the moment everything in your life begins to align. And if you're ready to take that next step, not just in leaving what drains you, but in rebuilding who you are, the Stoic Relationship Blueprint is now available. This isn't just a book. It's a blueprint built on timeless Stoic principles that show you exactly how to reclaim your peace, your purpose, and your power. And now it's available in audiobook format, so you can start transforming your life while you walk, drive, train, or jog. Real change doesn't start when someone else shows up for you. It begins when you show up for yourself. This book will always be yours. Carry it with you. Apply it every day. The link is in the top comment. If this message spoke to you even a little, don't ignore that feeling. This is your next step. Number 2, she shames your growth. You start doing better for yourself, learning, improving, setting goals, raising your standards, and instead of support, you get sarcasm. Instead of encouragement, you get attitude. And it starts with small jabs, maybe a joke about how you talk different now, how you act too serious, or that you think you're better than her just because you're doing better. But what's actually happening is she's seeing your growth as a threat, because the moment you start becoming the man you were always meant to be, you force her to confront the truth that she's not evolving. And some people don't want to grow. They want comfort, and your ambition threatens her comfort. So she kills it with shame, because if she mocks your vision, she doesn't have to build her own. If she laughs at your self-discipline, she can keep her excuses intact, and most men don't even notice it happening because it's dressed up as humor, disguised as light teasing, but your spirit feels it. Every joke that minimizes your work, every comment that devalues your effort, and slowly you stop sharing your wins. You stop talking about your goals. You start dimming your light just to keep her from reacting. But you can't grow in a space that punishes progress. And no love is real if it needs you to stay small to keep peace. So many men live inside relationships where they're constantly second-guessing their next move, not because they doubt themselves, but because they know if they level up, it's going to cause friction. And you find yourself choosing between becoming who you're meant to be and keeping her from feeling insecure. But your purpose should never feel like betrayal, and real love meets your growth with celebration, not competition. But when you're with someone who fears your future, you become their emotional hostage, and they'll never say it directly, but they'll plant doubt. They'll talk about how you've changed, like it's a bad thing. They'll act like your new mindset is a problem, and what they really mean is your progress makes them uncomfortable because now you're outgrowing the version of them that could control you with approval. And when approval stops working, They switch to guilt. They make you feel like you're leaving them behind or that your grind is selfish. But it's not. It's sacred. Because if you have to sacrifice your evolution to maintain a relationship, you're not in love. You're in a cage. And no one talks about how hard it is to realize the person you wanted to build with is terrified of your future because they were only ever prepared to love a version of you they could manage, not the version of you that actually has standards and vision and energy. And when that hits you, you either break through or you break down, and most settle. They trade legacy for attention, peace for performance, and years go by while you keep hoping she'll one day clap for you, but she never will because her identity depends on you not changing. Her emotional safety is built on your stagnation, and as long as you stay small, she can stay in control. And the irony is the minute you stop trying to convince her that your growth isn't a threat, she sees what she lost too late. But by then, you've moved on. You've created space for people who pour into you, not poison you with shame, and you finally realize that becoming the best version of yourself was always going to offend people who were attached to the worst version of you. So you stop shrinking, you stop seeking their permission, and you rise because your life is too valuable to keep living under someone else's insecurity. And the man who finally stops asking for validation is the man who becomes untouchable. Number 3. She dismisses your needs. You express what you need, and she scoffs, or worse, she flips the script to make your needs feel like attacks. And over time, you learn that needing anything from her is dangerous, not because you're asking too much, but because she weaponizes your vulnerability and turns your emotional honesty into leverage. And it's subtle at first. Maybe you say you want more affection and she gives you distance. Maybe you say you want honesty and she calls you insecure. Maybe you say you want to feel more supported and she calls you needy. And little by little your needs become liabilities, and that's the trap. Because now every time you feel something, you debate whether it's even worth bringing up, not because it's not valid, but because the backlash isn't worth the battle. And so you begin to adapt. You talk less, ask less, expect less, until your entire relationship is built on suppression, not connection. And most men think this is just how things go. They believe that expressing themselves will always be met with rejection because that's all they've known. But needing love is not weakness. Needing connection is not failure. The failure is when you keep giving to someone who uses your needs to gain power instead of intimacy. And a partner who values you doesn't punish your needs. They want to meet them, not because they have to, but because they care. But when you're with someone who dismisses your feelings, you end up feeling guilty for being human, and eventually you become numb, not because you don't care anymore, but because your care was never safe in the first place. And this is how emotional abandonment hides behind long relationships. This is how people stay together for years and never actually feel seen, because one person learned that silence keeps the peace, and the other person learned they never have to show up fully, and then you start to think maybe your needs are too much. Maybe love is about sacrifice. Maybe the price of peace is your own emotional starvation, but that's not love. That's fear disguised as loyalty. And the moment you realize that love that requires your silence isn't love at all, is the moment you begin to take your life back. And no real connection can exist where your voice is treated like noise. And if you've ever been made to feel ashamed for having a need, understand this. That shame doesn't belong to you. It was handed to you by someone who was never prepared to love someone deeply, because depth requires effort and sacrifice and maturity. And the sad truth is many relationships are just power dynamics dressed up as romance, where one person's needs always matter and the other is just an emotional ATM. And the more you withdraw without deposits, the closer you are to bankruptcy, not just in the relationship, but in yourself. And you deserve to feel safe. You deserve to feel wanted, not tolerated, not minimized, not pushed aside when you speak truth. And if she won't hear your heart, stop speaking to deaf ears and start listening to your own silence, because it's in that space you finally realize you were never asking for too much. You were just asking the wrong person. Number 4, she has victim mentality. Every time something goes wrong, she finds a way to make it someone else's fault. And when you bring up a real issue, she deflects, cries, attacks, or rewrites the situation to make herself the injured one. And it never ends with her taking ownership, because accountability feels like attack to people who built their identity on being blameless. And what starts as misunderstanding quickly turns into manipulation, because now you're stuck managing her reactions instead of resolving the issue. And so you learn not to bring things up, not because they're not important, but because every attempt to speak the truth ends with you apologizing for something you didn't even do, and it drains you. It steals your peace and makes you question your own reality, because people with victim mentality are experts in emotional redirection. They twist responsibility into guilt, and they're not interested in solving anything. They're only interested in being seen as the one who's always hurt. And what makes it dangerous is that it's subtle. It doesn't show up as obvious abuse. It shows up as her crying during every confrontation, bringing up old wounds whenever you call her out, or pretending to be confused when you know she understood everything perfectly well. And this performance keeps you locked in a cycle where you're the villain for pointing out something real, and she's the hero for surviving your cruelty. And eventually you lose the energy to even try anymore, because you realize logic doesn't work with someone who weaponizes emotion. And while you're thinking, how do we fix this? She's thinking, how do I win this? And in a space like that, growth dies, because progress needs mutual effort, and all you get is performance. All you get is deflection, and people forget this. That emotional manipulation isn't always shouting. Sometimes it's helplessness. Sometimes it's tears. Sometimes it's a long silence, followed by a passive-aggressive comment that makes you feel like the bad guy just for wanting to be heard. And if you've been with someone like this, you already know. You already know the exhaustion of walking on glass, because even breathing the wrong way can spark another meltdown. And you don't realize how far you've sunk until your whole personality becomes shaped around keeping her from breaking down. But the truth is, she's not fragile. She's strategic. She knows exactly how to keep you from holding her accountable, and she knows if she plays weak long enough, you'll drop the issue to feel like the stronger one, the bigger person, the peacemaker. And suddenly your relationship isn't about love, it's about management, managing her moods, her reactions, her stories. And in doing that, you abandon your own needs, and that is not love. That is emotional labor that breaks your back while she paints herself as the one who's suffering. And the longer you stay, the more you forget how healthy love is supposed to feel, because this isn't healthy. This is a dynamic built on avoidance, and the hardest truth is that she doesn't want solutions. She wants attention. She doesn't want healing. She wants control through helplessness. And that's why the relationship never evolves, because evolution requires responsibility, and she refuses to hold any. And so you become the problem, no matter how kind, patient, or calm you are. And when you finally break, when you finally snap or walk away, she uses that as proof that you were always the issue, that you were unstable, that she was right all along. And now you're left defending yourself against a version of the story that doesn't even resemble reality, and people believe her because she plays the part so well. And you wonder how someone could twist the truth so effectively, but it's not confusion, it's choice. She chose the role of the victim because it gives her power, and that power comes at the cost of your peace. And when you realize this, when it finally clicks that no amount of love or patience can fix someone who uses pain as currency, you have to leave, not because you failed, but because the game is rigged, and you weren't in a relationship. You were in a performance where your role was always to be the villain, and now that you see it clearly, you can walk away without guilt, without shame, and with the full understanding that anyone who makes your love feel like a crime was never capable of receiving it in the first place. Number 5. You keep hoping she'll change. You stay longer than you should not, because things are great, but because you believe they could be, and you're not holding on to who she is right now, but who she might become one day if she ever realizes what you've given, and this hope becomes your prison, because it keeps you locked in a cycle of almosts and maybes and emotional breadcrumbs that feel like progress, but always lead back to the same hurt. And every time she says sorry, you convince yourself this is the turning point, but nothing changes, and the pattern continues, and you start doing mental gymnastics just to make her bare minimum feel like love. And the longer you wait, the more you sacrifice your peace for the fantasy of her potential. And what most don't tell you is that waiting for someone to become who you need them to be is a slow emotional death, because you're not living with the real person. You're living with a version that only exists in your mind. And she benefits from your hope, because as long as you believe she'll change one day, she never has to. And the more you stay, the more permission you give her to stay exactly the same. And slowly, your boundaries erode, your standards lower, and your self-worth gets tied to whether or not you can fix her. And that's the worst part, because now you believe your failure to save the relationship means you're the problem. But the truth is, you were never the problem. The problem was, she never intended to grow with you. She was content being who she was while you broke yourself in half, trying to make things better. And the lie you've told yourself is that effort will equal change, that more love will lead to more respect. But effort only matters if it's met halfway. And if you're the only one sweating for change, you're in a delusion, not a relationship. And at some point you have to ask yourself what you're really holding on to, because it's not her, it's who you hoped she'd become. And when you finally let that go, you'll see that peace was always on the other side of the goodbye you were too afraid to say. And no one talks about how dangerous hope is when it becomes a reason to accept less than you deserve. But now you know, now you see it, and now the responsibility is yours to stop delaying your healing for someone who keeps showing you they have no interest in becoming what you need, because she won't change, not because she can't, but because she doesn't have to. And if she ever does change, it won't be because you broke yourself to prove your love. It'll be because she lost access to you, because you stopped making excuses and started respecting yourself again. And the only version of her that deserved your loyalty is the one that would have never let it get this far. And if that version never showed up, then it never existed. And now that you know that, there's nothing left to wait for. Number 6. She doesn't celebrate your wins. You achieve something you've worked hard for, and instead of joy or pride or partnership, you get silence, sarcasm, or subtle bitterness. And what should be a moment of shared celebration becomes a lonely reminder that the person beside you isn't actually with you, and deep down, you feel it. The energy shifts. The light in her eyes dims, not because you failed, but because you succeeded, and her smile feels forced if it shows up at all, and you start hiding your wins, not because you're ashamed of success, but because you're tired of feeling guilty for being proud of yourself. And it's twisted, because love should never make you apologize for shining. Yet here you are walking on eggshells because your growth makes her uncomfortable, and the saddest part is, it doesn't start big. It starts small, like her changing the subject when you're excited, or brushing off your good news with dry responses. And then it turns into emotional distance, where every win pushes her further instead of bringing her closer. And suddenly you're chasing approval again, performing, explaining why your success doesn't mean you'll leave her behind. But no matter how much you explain, she's already checked out. Because the truth is, she never saw your win as something to share. She saw it as a threat. And in relationships like this, your ambition becomes your liability, and what should be fuel for growth becomes a source of friction. And that's when you realize you're in something one-sided, where she only claps when you're down, where she's only comfortable when you're small, because as long as you're struggling, she feels needed. But the moment you thrive without her, she resents it. and that's not love. That's envy dressed as support, and you'll try to fix it. You'll downplay your wins, try to make her feel safe, include her in the journey, but she's already decided your success means you're abandoning her emotionally, and you can't argue with someone's internal insecurity because no matter how gentle you are, she sees your shine as an attack, and now you're stuck trying to dim your own light so she won't feel shadowed by your presence. And the moment you realize that shrinking for love is not sustainable, you start to choose yourself because you know that real love claps loudly, celebrates freely, and doesn't see your growth as a competition. And when you stay in relationships where your wins feel like sins, you start doubting your own greatness, and that's where most potential dies, not in failure, but in success that wasn't received with love. And if you're here right now, wondering why the one you love seems cold when you're on top, just know this. It's not your job to prove that success doesn't make you selfish. It's her job to learn that love doesn't mean control, and anyone who truly sees you will celebrate your becoming, not belittle it, not punish it, not avoid it. And when you finally let go of needing her to clap, that's when you find the people who always would have. They told you to stay quiet, to be a man and tolerate the pain, to keep loving her while you fade into someone you don't even recognize. But enough is enough. Society doesn't want you to think clearly. They don't want you to access the kind of truth that makes you walk away from dysfunction and build the life you deserve. That ends now. If you're done wasting years hoping someone changes, if you're ready to finally understand your worth, then the Stoic relationship blueprint is yours. This is more than a book. It's a weapon, a map back to yourself, packed with timeless Stoic principles that will transform your thinking, your standards, and your future immediately. And it's now available in audiobook format, so you can plug in and start changing your life while you walk, drive, lift, or jog. No more excuses. The link is in the comments. Comment, "I'm untouchable," if you're grabbing your copy now. Like this video, subscribe, and help more men escape years of regret.